I do with a 23-year-old boyfriend if I had one? Would I like take him out to play catch?
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll be discussing reasons why women over 40 are single. One woman shares her sad experience of feeling deceived by feminism, while another talks about her dating encounters with men on apps after turning 40. Before we dive in, we want to thank you for being here. Your support means a lot to us. If you enjoy what you see, we invite you to subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up. We'd also love to hear about your experiences in the comments. Your engagement helps us grow and reach more people. Thanks for being a part of our project. Let's get started.
Hi, I'm 40 and I'm newly single. I live in Vancouver. Long story short to this question is I have not given up on love, but I have given up on online dating. If you're a woman living in Vancouver, you know what I'm talking about. I was just finding that the men on these dating apps in my age group were just not ticking my boxes. And by ticking my boxes, I'm talking about not just like, am I physically attracted to them? Are they physically attracted to me? It means, are we aligned career-wise, family-wise, culturally? How far away do they live from me? I know in Vancouver, you could live like an hour, almost an hour and a half away from somebody, but still call it Vancouver. And when you think you found someone that ticks the boxes, the conversation is so low effort and is so dry. And I did go on some dates where I just didn't feel a connection or they lied about their profile. And it was just draining me. Like, it was draining for my self-esteem. It was draining on my time. It was just very draining. Honestly, Vancouver's the worst for dating. Like, the men here versus the women in the city. This city is full of gorgeous, successful, beautiful women. And I'm going to get so much hate for this, but I feel like the women in Vancouver are doing charity work.
She aspires to more than she can actually obtain. Simply saying that doesn't meet my standards is enough for me to understand why she's single. Because if you're 40 and childless, you should reassess those standards as they won't get you anywhere. Modern women are frustrated with dating apps simply because they can't access the men they desire. Men should understand that women believe they deserve more than their looks can get them. I said this a while back. Let's imagine Tinder as a restaurant. The best dishes are high-value men, and a woman's beauty is her money. If a woman orders the most expensive dish but pays with her beauty card, she knows the transaction will be declined. Instead, she's offered a free glass of water. Brothers, the wall doesn't forgive.
So there's this new article out that talks about how birth rates in the U.S. are at the lowest that they've ever been in the entire history of the U.S. Millennials are not having kids. I think there's a few reasons why that is. The first being millennials are one of the first generations to not have this intense societal pressure from older generations and from their peers to have children. Our parents' generation, which is oftentimes baby boomers, were having kids because nobody wasn't having kids. Like, it's just what you were supposed to do. I don't think there's a lot of critical thinking that even went into decisions like marriage and like having kids, the same way that millennials are thinking about them today. You see people dating for a lot longer before they get married. You see people wanting to live with their significant other to see what that's like before they get married. You see people being married for longer before they even start having children, or just not having children at all. 0 children households are skyrocketing the past several years. And I think this should be exciting and empowering, because long are the days where you had to follow one single path. You had to do the marriage, the kids thing, and settle down and really do that the rest of your life. I think there's a lot of people realizing that if that's not something you want to do, they're empowered to change careers, to travel the world, to embrace a variety of different lifestyles that wouldn't be possible if you have kids. Cost of living everywhere has also just gone through the roof compared to our parents' generation. And so people are being a lot more thoughtful about making sure they can be healthy and live their best lives and do the things that they want to do, and not necessarily be bogged down with the responsibilities of a child. Childcare costs have also skyrocketed in the last few years. So having a child itself, you have to be pretty well off in order to do that. Or that has to be something that you really, really value and really commit to, because you're giving up a lot of things. There's way more I could talk about with this article. It's super interesting. It just came out from the Washington Post this week. So I highly recommend you take a look.
There are many reasons why a woman might not have children, and they are valid reasons. Some couples choose not to have children, but they are the minority. However, the increase in both single men and women nowadays is greater than ever before. Divorce laws that ruin men, alimony laws, and problems with judges regarding a man's right to see his children are reasons why men don't want to get married. Many don't want children because why have a child if a judge might decide they can only see them once a month or not at all, and they'll just have to pay for them every month? Another issue is women's standards. In the past, a woman could only aspire to a man in her town, state, or community. Nowadays, with social media, a woman has men interested from all over the country, even different parts of the world. This leads to simps, and they start to believe they deserve more than their actual beauty can get them. Now, a man isn't just competing with someone from his community, but with the men that woman sees on Instagram who she thinks she deserves. And unlike men, when a woman has many options, she is never satisfied because she starts comparing each man to the others, making it impossible for any of them to meet her requirements. These are just a few reasons. If I continue, we won't finish the video today. But check out the experiences of the women in the next video and tell me if they're happier being single as they claim nowadays.
So I just watched a Tik Tok post of a woman who said everything that I'm thinking, but I've never shared. And it's about being older and being single and not having children. It's pretty hard. It's harder to say. And I never speak out about it. It's a difficult thing knowing that you're living this life without children and without anybody there. I'm single. Dating has been tough, and being in a relationship is extinct. A little while back, a few weeks ago, I suffered a mild heart attack, and I had to take an Uber to the hospital, to the ER. And being a nurse, I had a feeling it was a heart attack, and it was the worst feeling in the world, sitting there on the curb waiting for an Uber to come and pick me up. I didn't think I was going to make it, and it was just disheartening to not have anybody there but an Uber driver to take me to the ER. So let me go back to the post that this woman made, and it was about being older and alone and suffering mentally with this of being alone, not having children, and just the woes of it all. It's like, I go to work, I do what I have to do to survive, and it's a struggle just to wake up every day knowing I'm going to work just to pay my bills and then...
Now tell me, do you see this woman as strong and independent? Because it seems to me that she regrets the life she has had, regrets where she is now. It's very nice to have feminist speeches when you're 20, but when you're 40 or 50, you know that you could die tomorrow and no one cares, because neither your parents are alive nor have your siblings called you in years. That's when you realize the importance of family. Look, this woman had a wake-up call. She realized that there was no one in her phone to call. That's very tough, having to call an Uber, a stranger, to help you. But even worse is being in a hospital and no one shows concern for you. So when I hear women say they don't need a man, that they don't want children to take care of them when they're old, it's not about being taken care of when you're old. It's about having someone at home waiting for you to come back through that door. She says some mornings she doesn't even feel like getting up. It's easy to say travel, I have more money, but what's the point? What do you spend it on? No matter how much the hair-colored movement tries to sell you another idea, a woman's greatest achievement is bringing life into the world. Everything else fades away, leaves no difference in this world. But bringing a life into this world makes a difference, both for you and for that child of yours. Let's see the next part.
And it's a struggle just to wake up every day knowing I'm going to work just to pay my bills and then what? Like, I'm struggling with this every day. I'm getting older. My health has failed me, and who's going to be there for me? I feel like us women who are in the same boat, and there's a lot of us out there, I know there are, I just want to hear it, because I feel like sometimes I'm alone in all of this. And I would like to know that there's other women out there who are in the same boat. And gosh, I would love to get a commune or just get a bunch of women together. I wanted to buy land. I mean, it's so astronomical right now to buy something. The prices of land here in Utah and homes, it's just astronomical. I can't afford it. And I would much rather be with a group of women anyhow who have like minds and come together and build something together. I would love to do that. And I'm a nurse. I can go anywhere, and I'm willing to. I've been challenged lately with these thoughts of just being alone. And like that woman said, and I wish I could stitch her video, but I'm kind of an ignoramus and I don't know how to do that. So hopefully she'll find me on here. But I'm there, I'm with her, and I'd like to hear from more women, to hear if you're going through this too, because I feel so alone. It's like you wake up every day and go to work, and is that what life's all about? I don't know. All my friends have their lives and families, and I don't have anybody. What do I do for the holidays? I'm alone. I have been for a long time, and I'm kind of over it. So please reach out, let me know what everybody thinks. I was kind of afraid to post this video, but after watching that video, I kind of felt more empowered, and I hope that we can empower each other and help each other out. So there you have it. Let me know.
That's why I tell you not to be deceived by the stories they sell on social media. Traveling alone, eating alone, always being alone, doing everything alone. It might be fun for a while, but after years of the same, it gets boring, loses its meaning. Then they tell us they're the happiest when single. This woman seems like she was beautiful when she was young, But what led her to this? I don't know her life, but every decision you make, you have to live with it. This woman could have been with an average man. There are thousands of single men who would have been happy to have a woman like her. But surely her standards didn't allow her to consider men who could have given her a family. Maybe she focused on her career or simply wanted a man at her level. Because only men can be with women who are economically inferior to them. But women will never look at a man who earns less money unless he's physically very attractive. Or who knows, maybe she gave her best years to the Chad. A man brings nothing to the table but his seed, but I doubt it, because at least a baby leaves the Chad. So why do you think, brothers, this woman ended up like this?
Hi. How about you and I have a chat? Before we get started, I feel like I need to show you this view. Okay, so I rejoined Tinder like 5 days ago, and I don't have much to report other than the fact that I've received many an eggplant emoji, and by mistake, someone sent me a text that was meant for someone else that essentially delved into my deepest and darkest nightmares, so we didn't match. But yeah, nothing much to report on that front. And a lot of you came across me because I am a 40-year-old woman. I am single. I've been single for 3 years. I don't have any kids. And I just like to talk about my experiences living in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. So for those of you who haven't gone way down in my feed and listened to some of the stories of my dating experiences, I thought I would try to summarize it in 3 minutes or less. I have been on over 30 first dates, so 30 first dates with 30 different gentlemen, and I have some stories to tell. What I'm going to try to do is give you one thing about the most memorable and basically explain why there wasn't a second date. Okay, so here we go. I went out with 3 different individual guys separately, all in their early 40s, who had the exact same story. They each told me that they were all left on their 40th birthday by their partners because their partners cheated on them, and that's how they found out. And what's strange about that is that all 3 of them had the exact same story, so I almost think that there's some sort of secret messaging, Facebook group or something for guys in their 40s who are trying to pull heartstrings when they're newly single. And maybe that story works. It did not work on me. 0 out of 3 times. I went on a date with a guy who claimed to be 5'9", and he ended up being 5'4" when he showed up. This same guy came in from out of town and assumed he was going to stay at my house after the date. This guy, I would say gentleman, slept in his car. I went out with a guy who fell asleep on the date at the restaurant. In his defense, he was a resident, so he was pretty tired coming off shift and might have had too much to drink. I went out with a guy within 20 minutes of us going for a walk, because this was during COVID, asked if he could look at and touch my feet. I went out with another guy who claimed he'd never really learned how to kiss anybody and he wanted me to teach him. I went out with a guy who took me to his mom's house and showed me the illegal grow-op he had in her basement. I went out with a guy who I made cry on the first date, and honestly, that's on me. I turned into a therapist and just dove a little too deep. And I'm so sorry, but we need to do a part 2 because there's so much more.
Literally, there are men who need to improve their game because I can't really crucify them here. That's why I always say, having an idea of how to develop a date without too many expectations can be the best approach. Remember, women are just another human being, so don't be so nervous. Another thing, brothers, when you're on a date, I've seen a lot of men do this. They want to tell the woman their whole life story, speak ill of their ex-girlfriends or wives, or start bragging about being a high-value man. Or they go into it with the perspective that if the first woman accepts a date, she'll be their wife or girlfriend. That's too desperate and shows you're needy. Don't do this. Because if a girl does that to you, you'd think she has mental problems. Leave some mystery in your life. Just because your life may be a mess doesn't mean it has to be public. As Kevin Samuels used to say, don't be a crybaby telling your story. Keep your feelings to yourself. Share them with a friend, not a woman you're trying to impress. Another thing, women at 40, even on the wall, still have dates. It's ironic who they attract, though. Brothers, what do you think about the loneliness of women, this epidemic of singleness? We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. What do you think a 50-year-old woman who feels lonely should do? What do you think are the reasons behind the declining birth rate in the United States? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.